Welcome to another episode of the Ginger ROAMance. Here, you'll hear anonymous stories from travellers all over the world. Real submissions from real people. Tales of connection, romance, passion, heartbreak, friendship, and love in all its forms. Because every kind of love deserves to be told. This week's episode is called Right Place, Right Time, from Bali, Indonesia. I had just started my very first solo holiday, and Bali was my first stop. On my first night in Ubud, I took myself out for dinner and a walk, just to get a feel for the area. When I got back, I was walking down the tiny, dimly lit pathway to my accommodation, as I felt something move near my feet. I turned on my phone torch, and there it was, a baby snake. Normally, I would have screamed and bolted, but I knew I had to keep it together. I stepped to the side and kept walking, goosebumps everywhere, absolutely shivering. Back in my room, I was rattled. I already wasn't thrilled with the accommodation. It didn't look much like the photos. And now there was the snake situation. I sat on my bed wondering if I should just leave. Could I deal with this pathway every night? I ended up jumping online and booking all the tours I wanted to do, just so I could tick them off quickly and get the hell out of there. The next morning, I was sitting on my balcony having breakfast when a man from the room next door stepped out with his coffee. He said hello, sat down, and within minutes, we were deep in conversation. I moved over to his balcony to finish my tea, and he told me about all the events he wanted to go to over the next few days. Breathwork, yoga, sound healing, ecstatic dance. Exactly the kind of things I had come to Ubud for. We talked about why we were both in Bali, about our lives, about the healing we were each doing. And then he said something that stuck with me. Ubud is magic. Ask for what you want, and you'll receive it. He told me stories of how the universe had already delivered exactly what he'd asked for since he'd been there. We swapped Instagrams so that we could keep in touch. I set off on my tours and had such a great time, despite seeing 2 more snakes that day. One on a bridge I was walking over, and another in a pond alongside a walkway I was walking on. This guy turned out to be the breath of fresh air that I needed so early into my travels. He was free-spirited, high energy, spontaneous. Everything I needed to shake me out of my structured, organised life. He was exactly the right person at exactly the right time. After my day out on tours, we went out for dinner, and during dinner, he suggested we go to an ecstatic dance, which was starting in less than an hour. As he told me about it, I could feel my chest tightening, my throat closing up, the headache I already had getting worse. I was tired, hungry, borderline hangry, and way outside of my comfort zone. I tried to back out, but he wouldn't let me. He was so sure it would make me feel better. Eventually, I caved. Deep down, I knew he was right. This was exactly the kind of thing that I needed to do to push myself. I'd done things like ecstatic dance before, but this was different. I didn't know a single person except for him, and the music was completely fresh. No lyrics to hide behind. When the DJ started, everyone dropped straight into flow. People dancing together, touching, smiling, connecting like they'd known each other for years, even though they hadn't met before. I closed my eyes and I started to move. My mind kept jumping in, wondering how I looked, whether people were watching, judging. But nobody cared. Nobody was even paying attention to me at all. So I let go. At one point, I had tingles running through my entire body. My feet, legs, arms, and hands. The energy in that room was unlike anything else. I was so grateful I didn't let fear stop me, and grateful that he pushed me to show up for myself. He also introduced me to an incredible yoga teacher, someone he'd met completely by chance, when the guy happened to offer him a motorbike ride one day. That simple act of kindness turned into a friendship, and eventually into one of the best yoga classes I've ever taken. The teacher held classes on a veranda surrounded by trees, with only about 6 or 7 people in the class. He gave us personalised attention, adjusting our stances and encouraging us to try poses that none of us thought we were capable of. It was beautiful, a group of strangers cheering each other on, celebrating every wobble and every tiny victory. No judgment, just connection. Then he took me to a breathwork session. I'd done a lot of breathwork back home, so I felt comfortable going, but I wasn't expecting to connect with so many people. The yoga teacher was there, and a woman from Turkey he had known years ago, and randomly had crossed paths with in Ubud. We all went out for dinner afterwards, and the conversation was incredible. Conscious, deep, and confronting in the best possible way. His friend from Turkey asked me direct, unapologetic questions. The kind that force you to be accountable, honest, and vulnerable. I learned so much about myself in that conversation, and I felt completely supported throughout it by 2 strangers. Over my time in Ubud, and through messages after, we built a friendship. He also became my unofficial guide to Turkey when I eventually travelled there. He gave me advice on what to see, what to avoid, and what to try. He was the very first person I met on my travels, and I'll be forever grateful for that. He showed up exactly when I needed someone like him, and he'll always hold a special place in my heart. Thanks for listening. Make sure you're following along to keep up to date with weekly stories that will inspire, entertain, and maybe even make you fall in love with the idea of love itself. Got your own romance story and want to be a part of the Ginger Romance community? Check the notes for details on how to submit your own.